McDonald Library was one of only 5 libraries chosen in the Pittsburgh area to preview the PBS miniseries We Shall Remain, a tribute to the struggling and suffering endured by Native Americans since the coming of the first settlers from Europe. Students from the Fort Cherry Elementary Center drew pictures and made posters illustrating how they see Native American life through the centuries. The library came alive with artifacts, books, and other objects displayed for the purpose of showcasing Native American culture. Connie Bongiorni welcomed area residents as the public broadcasting preview of We Shall Remain began.
Thank you all for coming. I'm Connie Bongiorni, the director here, and it's so wonderful for all of you to be here. There are a few people that I want to thank. The displayed artifacts are courtesy of Ann Vandell, John Zaris, Jenny Oravets, Steve Skarupa, Jeff Skarupa, John Coe, and Tim Gregor. I want to thank the staff, Linda, Becky, Jan, Gail, Lucy, and a special thank you to Ford Shankle and Matthew Dugan, who are going to be taping for us, and special thanks to Millie and Tom Soissons, and the board members that are here are Jennifer Harkleroad, Millie Soissons, and Missy Shaw.
It is a story at the heart of America. One richer and more surprising than we've been told.
All 5 episodes were previewed. The first being After the Mayflower. The second, Tecumseh's Vision. Next was the sad ordeal known as the Trail of Tears. The fourth called Geronimo. And finally, the tragedies that unfolded at Wounded Knee in the 1800s and the 1970s. The impact of the movie was seen throughout the audience. A quiet new awareness flowed between and among the audience members, reflecting a greater appreciation and understanding of how the Native Americans bravely fought for their way of life and still do. Thomas Soissons had an opportunity to talk with John Coe, a Native American activist, about how his people have been perceived through the centuries and how a resurgence of Native pride in their culture and religion is gaining momentum throughout the country.
Everybody, every Native American alive, every grandma, every grandpa, it's our life. So we're all involved in the movement of our people. Whether you're, it's like you're an American, you're involved in America, whether you see yourself as a Republican or a Democrat or whatever, it's your country and you have to be part of it, so we're all part of the American Indian movement, whether we're the warriors actually doing the demonstrating, the marches, things like we did, roadblocks, confrontations, just like Black Panthers or Martin Luther King. Anytime there's going to be change, there's those that are sacrificed in the beginning to help make that change, whether it's sitting on a bus or standing up against the FBI or whatever. It's not really people need to see that it's not a activist group of people, troublemakers or something like that. The American Indian movement will always be the people themselves. Like I said, from the children to the grandparents. It's our life. We're raising our children in our culture. We call it the Red Road. That way of life is hard enough to teach your children in this day and age, to go home for all the ceremonies, go to Sundances, keep your, kids in school, and and they come home and you got to teach them the real truth about, no, that wasn't a great battle, that was a massacre, you know, and it's hard to raise Native Americans in this country and not have them grow bitter, because and not just Native Americans, if you teach the truth to your people, you know, then there's a lot of bad stuff out there, and we get bitter. And so there's a thin line between educating people about what has happened to Native Americans, what is happening to Native Americans, and getting that bitter taste out of their mouth when they walk away, you know, so they can take the best of both worlds, you know.
I happened to hear one of the visitors tonight to this presentation compliment you on your son's dancing ability.
Oh yes,
so,
they're very good dancers. Yeah.
Now, are you in with that group also? You're able to
That's
perform?
not a group. It's
well,
just that we did, you know, as a Native American family, we travel around the United States and visit friends on different reservations, and
the Sundance is all part of it.
Well, Sundance is something we don't talk about in front of a camera. That's
okay.
That's
Sorry.
not like a powwow. That's our at the heart of our spiritual beliefs. It's a sacred ceremony. But all my kids, you know, they've been dancing since they could stand up. You know, like all, you know.
Excellent.
Traditional, but you know, it's more than dancing. It's more than regalia. Those designs mean something. Those colors mean something, and they meant something to our grandparents. And it's real important to me that my kids, you know. It's hard, even if I were full-blooded, which obviously I'm not. I'm only quarter-blooded. If it's hard to keep your language and your culture and everything intact, you know. It is very, very hard.
Imagine.
You know, it's hard just surviving for anybody, you know. But
Correct.
Then there's that
Right.
added thing where you're the only Native American family in the neighborhood. Your kids are the only Native kids in the school. You know, that kind of stuff. There's an added, you know, thing, and you know, it's. My kids all wear headbands. They've wore headbands all their life. They identify with wearing headbands and braids, but yet, you know, Bloods and Crips and all this stuff out there, you know, they'll go into a place with a headband on and get that off, you know, and they're like having a clue about the gangs. They're just,
right.
You know, it's interesting.
Native Americans were quick to adopt the white man's ways when they were proven to be an asset to daily life. For example, the cur dog was brought over by Europeans to aid in hunting in the great forests that covered the entire East Coast. Jeff Karupa tells his interesting story about this breed and how they are a hunter's best friend.
They've had significant contributions to the Ohio Valley and the Eastern Seaboard. It has been said, if it wasn't for these dogs, the Eastern Seaboard had never been settled. They've hunted from squirrel all the way up to bear, to mountain lion, bobcat. They hole up animals that go in the holes. They tell the hunters where they're at. They're a silent hunter. They don't bark unless you have the breed that barks. Mine are totally silent until they hit the tree. And when they start barking, that's when they got the squirrel or the coon up the tree. And most of these dogs are very well mannered. Their strong instincts are treeing and taking care of their families by guarding them when they're asleep. And back in the old days, they said that George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Daniel Boone, Davy Crockett and all them owned these dogs because they don't bark.
My name is Steve Skarupa. I'm a flint knapper in this area, and most of the things you see on this table I made. These are some pipe bags that I've made, and of course I put all the beads on them. And the Indian was a very religious person, and his pipe and his bag were very, very religious to him, so he always had somewhere to keep his pipes. The flint that I make, like this, was Cahokia type point, and this is obsidian point, which is out of Oregon, and this is a Flint Ridge point, which is a knife out of Flint Ridge, Ohio.
From Heritage Public Library, this is Tom Soissons, and thanks for watching.